Right here in Dubai, we have a piece of ancient Greece. And Dubai is not alone. Buildings inspired by the ancient Greek architecture dot the globe, with places like the Lincoln Memorial, the US Capitol Building, and Moscow's Bolshoi Theater. Many architectural masterpieces scream Greek influence. But why? Why study ancient Greece today? Why does this ancient civilization that reached its peak thousands of years ago still matter today? Okay, think about it. Studying ancient Greece is like digging into the roots of everything we know today. Much of our modern world, from how we do politics, to our culture, to the stories we tell, comes from ancient Greek ideas. Understanding those ideas will help us get a clear picture of why things the way they are today, and help us improve them. Ancient Greece is when our world literally began to take shape. So let's find out how it started and how it ended. And if it ended. So around 3,700 years ago, the Egyptians had already built their pyramid, and Babylon was the world's first megapolis. On Crete, a mysterious civilization flourished. They had their own navy, writing system, and vibrant artistic culture, though their script still remains undeciphered. But then, disaster struck. A volcanic eruption on the island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, caused massive ash clouds and tsunamis, which possibly inspired the myth of Atlantis, later referenced in Dubai's Atlantis Hotel. Crete was never the same afterwards, and soon warlike tribes from the Greek mainland soon conquered it. The invaders brought with them bronze weapons and tablets inscribed in a strange new language, Linear B, the earliest known form of Greek. They built massive walls around their cities like Mycenae, Thebes, and Athens. Centuries later, they attributed these walls to mythical Cyclopean builders, unaware of the advanced civilization that came before them. By conquering Crete, the Greeks have also conquered the seas. The Mycenae forces led the Greeks against Troy, as Homer describes in the Iliad. How do we know about all this? This is where archaeology put its all under daylight. Many golden-laden tombs found in Mycenae turned out to be accounting records. For a long time, this story was dismissed as a myth, until only about 150 years ago, when a German amateur and millionaire archaeologist, Heinrich Schliemann, from St. Petersburg, uncovered the ruins of Troy. Today, the replica of the Trojan horse stands near the ruins of Troy, and the real Trojan gold stands in the Pushkin Museum in Moscow. Then the collapse of the Bronze Age led to the Dark Ages of 400 years, where literacy and culture fell into oblivion. Thankfully, we have Homer, the blind poet, for reserving the stories of this time in the Iliad and in the Odyssey. Though Homer's existence is uncertain, his epics give us a glimpse into what life was like during this era. The heroes of his tale, like Odysseus, were not kings because of their grand palaces, but because of their herds of animals. So, what happened? The Mycenaean civilization was destroyed by the Dorians, a more warlike Greek-speaking tribe, and the Dorians kept only basic technology, like ships and pottery wheels, and it took centuries before Greek culture finally began to revive. In the 9th century BCE, the Greeks adopted a new alphabet from the Phoenicians. This alphabet became the foundation for the modern Greek language. This was a game changer. With this new alphabet, the Greeks could start recording everything. And let's be real, without it, we might not even be talking about ancient Greece today. This marked the end of the Dark Ages. Now Greece began to emerge as we recognize it. But Greece wasn't one unified state. It was made up of independent city-states called polises, each with its own government and culture. Now, due to Greece's geography, with mountains and seas, each city-state was isolated, with only a few areas suitable for agriculture, which meant that even grain had to be imported. Now, this led to the Great Colonization, where Greek cities like Miletus founded colonies as far as modern-day Italy and France. They spread their culture and even their language, which later influenced Latin and eventually the world. Greek cities stretched as far as from southern Russia to Marseille in France. Greek amphorae, containers for grain and wine, were found from Gibraltar to Georgia. The Greeks have also introduced coins to facilitate trade and established powerful trade networks. According to Plato, the Greek philosopher, the Greeks have settled around the Mediterranean like frogs around a pond. While many Greek cities thrived, two stood out: Athens and Sparta. The Spartans, descendants from the warlike Dorians, focused on military conquest and enslaving the local population, called the Helots. Over time, Sparta became a militarized state, with their primary aim being to prevent a Helot uprising. Now Athens, who have limited land, focused on democracy. Its citizens, though only a small fraction of the total population, could directly vote on decisions. This became the foundation for modern democracy. Greek democracy was direct, with no representatives, and citizens could directly vote on decisions. Though it only applied to free men, slaves, women, and foreigners were excluded. The Ionian states, on the other hand, were the far most advanced city-states, adopting innovations like coinage, mathematics, and the alphabet. This period of innovation was interrupted by a new threat: the Persian Empire. The Persians have torched and destroyed the cities of Miletus and continued to subdue Greece for the next 20 years. Thanks to Herodotus, the first historian, we have a detailed account of what happened in these events. But in the end, Greece prevailed. So how did these small Greek city-states withstand the vast Persian Empire? Number 1. Military innovation. At the Battle of the Marathon, the Greeks have deployed a phalanx, a close formation military tactic. The Persians have lost 6,400 men, meanwhile the Athenians only 192. And fun fact, the famous marathon race we know today comes from a legend of a Greek messenger who ran 42 kilometers to announce their victory, only to drop dead from exhaustion. Number 2. The Spartan resolve. At Thermopylae, King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans held off a massive Persian army with a few thousand allies, including the Helots. Their unparalleled discipline and bravery became legendary. And finally, number 3. Naval superiority. Athens invested its silver windfall in 200 triremes, fast maneuverable warships that proved to be decisive in the Battle of the Salamis, where the Greek fleet crushed the Persians. After their victory, the Athens created the Delian League, a maritime union of 150 states, to protect against Persia. Athens has entered its golden age. Under the leadership of Pericles, it became the cultural and intellectual heart of Greece. They built the Parthenon, originally a temple, but later turned into the bank for the Delian League. Philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle began to change ideas and influence generations to come. It was here when art, philosophy, theater, and science reached new heights. The philosopher Anaxagoras proved that the sun wasn't the god Helios, but instead a fiery body as large as the Peloponnese Islands. In just half a century, the Greeks created a culture that would resonate for millennia. However, Athens was eventually weakened due to political struggles and the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. But then came along Alexander the Great. Now, Alexander was something else. Born to King Philip II of Macedonia, a man who already started to unify Greece, Alexander took the throne after his father's assassination and started to conquer the known world. From Greece to Egypt, from Persia to India, Alexander created an empire that was the largest the world has ever seen, and he founded cities named Alexandria along the way. Alexander's empire blended Greek and Eastern cultures, creating the Hellenistic world. Ancient Greek was the common language for administration and learning. Alexander himself was declared as a god and a pharaoh in Egypt. Though his empire fractured after his death, his legacy reshaped the ancient world, uniting the East and the West and paving the way for future empires. Alexander died young in 323 BCE, when he was just 32 years old, in Babylon, the city he had chosen as his capital. His empire fragmented after his death, as his generals fought for control. Meanwhile, a new power, Rome, was emerging. By 146 BCE, the Romans have conquered Greece, absorbing its culture even as they subdued its cities. And by 30 BCE, Egypt fell as Cleopatra VII was defeated. Though politically subdued, the Greek culture triumphed. The Romans have admired Greek art, philosophy, and literature, reading Homer's epic in Greek and later adapting the New Greek Testament, which became central to the spread of Christianity. In 330 CE, Emperor Constantine established Constantinople on the site of ancient Greece colony called Byzantium. This marked the beginning of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantines have preserved the Greek culture, language, and Orthodox Christianity for another millennium, leaving a profound legacy, including the Cyrillic alphabet, which became the foundation for the modern Russian alphabet. Ancient Greece is a story of triumph, decline, and lasting influence. From philosophy to democracy, its ideas continue to shape the world today. That was Rizlanda Science.